Hey there, it's Ollie from metal.de, and I am tonight in Innsbruck in Austria together with Prong and the man of the hour, the man himself, the legend, Tommy Victor.
Hi Oliver.
Hey man.
Thanks for doing this.
We usually start this with a short gunshot Q&A just to get in touch together, and
Okay.
let's do it. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Vocals or guitars?
Guitars.
Stage or studio?
Ugh. God, they're both difficult. I would say studio.
Groove, metal or industrial?
Groove metal.
Beach or forest?
Beach.
AC/DC or Black Sabbath?
Ooh, Sabbath. Tough decision though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a tough decision.
Yeah.
Thrash or hardcore?
Thrash.
Day or night?
Day.
Club or festival?
Club, absolutely. That was an easy one.
Book or TV?
Ooh, these days television more.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Central Park or Empire State Building?
Empire State Building.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you grew up in New York and it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I never really, I mean, Central Park's okay. I mean, there's other places that are nicer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. 10 questions, and now we're ready.
Alright, cool.
Okay. You've just released State of Emergency, and the fans had to wait for about 6 years or longer. And what's the reason for this?
Well, there was the pandemic, not to cut you off, that's one of them. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's just the only reason?
I had a son, another child. I was taking care of him too, so that cut out like a couple of years. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to continue because we had the kid, and I was a stay-at-home dad. My wife went back to work, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I was fine with it. But then, we got offered a tour of Black Label Society, and I was like, I'll see what happens. The tour was great. So, we sold a lot of merch, money was good, and then I didn't have a record deal, and then SBV renegotiated the deal, and then we decided we're going to move back to New York. We were living in Los Angeles, so that move was, it took some time out. By the time I got settled in New York, I figured, let's write the record in New York, record there, and I told that to the label guy, and he was into that, so it took a while for me to get situated. Then, I was writing the record, and then recording and everything. So all that sort of came into like 5 years, really.
Okay. The opening track is called "The Descent," and it is sounding like a punch in the face.
Right.
So it's a very heavy riff in the beginning. And is it meant to be like a statement, which is the words standing right on the edge, to the abyss or so?
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, it was just like the guys engulfed in fear and insecurity, the narrator of the song, and it pretty much comes from insecurities from media, and that's where his confusion. It's all like fabricated, really. It's not even really, he feels like it's the end of the world, but it really isn't, but it's just what he's been told to believe. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is.
And could you give us a short summary on the main concept of State of Emergency, if there's a main concept?
Well, there's a group of the songs come into that umbrella of State of Emergency for sure. And it's very dystopian, but it's like, it's not a new concept, but it's George Orwell, 1984 type of vibe, heavy propaganda society, and the legions that are professing things that maybe people don't really believe is true or not. So and it's getting more difficult to disagree with the narrative pressed by the mass media. So it's all involved, cancel culture, media control, the legacy media being so flippant, 1 second they're saying the other thing, and then they're pushing another thing. Post-pandemic fears, etc. But state of emergency is almost like the alarmist attitude of the media, where they're trying to scare you, and then it actually hits people. They're actually becoming a state of emergency where it's putting their lives in jeopardy a little bit. So.
But today it's easy to get scared just by
oh my God, now
switching on the TV.
Yeah, that's pretty much part of it.
Yeah. And if you had to pick or choose 3 songs from that record, I guess it's not a very popular question, but if you had to pick the 3 most important songs to introduce the album, which one would that be?
It's a tough question because there's a lot of variety on the record. There's the groove metal songs. That's why I like. Maybe I will say this, at least the title track, "State of Emergency," because I think that incorporates a lot of old prong, and that is the central sound of prong, really. So it's got the groove. It's got the heavy guitar. It's like sort of it's aggressive. And it sounds a little current too. And then I like a non-existence too. That doesn't really fall into the state of emergency concept. That's more about like a sort of about the struggles in life and just being proud of that and contributing to society. So non-existence is a good one. That has a little reminiscence of the Rude Awakening era of prong, but modernized. So that's 2, and then there's a song that it's real more alternative sounding. It's called "Disconnected," and that's something that I think people, if they investigate it, is kind of an interesting track because it's not really like a metal song. It's just like a alternative rock song or something. So I'm proud of that one. So yeah, any of those 3: non-existence, title track, or disconnected.
Cool. I like the Decent the most.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great. I mean, yeah, that's the video. So that's what the label chose that to be the official video. So yeah, that's a killer track too. Like we end the show with that. So
cool.
Yeah, unless they cut us.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
You also made a cover version on "Working Man" from Rush, and I guess not too many people would have expected that choice after you released songs from the Black Hole with completely other stuff. You agree with that?
I do. I didn't really like the response that we got from the songs from the Black Hole too much. People were like, "Well, what are these bands? No one knew who they were." The record really didn't do that great. So I was like, in response to that, I was like, if I do another cover, it's going to be from a popular band. So people were like, oh, maybe they're more aware of it. It still doesn't work. But no, I was like investigating old music that I was listening to prior to going into writing. I was listening to old Sabbath and stuff from my childhood. And that first Rush record came about. So I was intrigued with that riff, and then I got into the lyric. I go, the lyric really makes a lot of sense to me too. So, about this guy, he's struggling with his existence. So, going to work, just having a hard time of it. So, that sort of bookend the descent. This guy is in crisis, and the working man guy is in crisis. That's sort of a working man. There's a good theme for prong too. Like "Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck" is sort of like a working anthem too. So. It wasn't really planned. We jammed on it, we were fooling around with it, and it was starting to sound good. So we did a proper arrangement and put it on the record.
So you could say your roots are not just punk or heavy metal; it's just rock.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it spans a lot. My roots are like Cream and Hendrix and The Doors and Stones, Kiss. Zeppelin, Sabbath, and then it gets into punk rock with the Stooges and Ramones, and and then post-punk, Killing Joke. So then thrash. So there's a lot in there.
And even if the band's lineup has changed quite a few times in the past, a lot of times in the past, Prong always sounds unique and like it's your handwriting. Do the other band members take part on the songwriting processes, or is it just based on your creative output?
Well, this record, I wrote everything. That no one else. I didn't collaborate with anybody. Since this guy's in and out, like I've pretty much taken over most of the role of all the writing. So no, like the other guys don't really, contribute too much to the albums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
they did that since. Like Jason played on No Absolutes. That was the last one he played on, and songs from the Black Hole. So like a lot of these guys are doing other things, blah blah blah, and they come back to Prong or whatever. But it's been like that since the beginning, where my role has been like the chief songwriter, lyricist. So it's always sort of been that way.
And you do a lot of things too, I guess, because bands like Nine Inch Nails, Korn are calling Prong as main influences on their music. You played guitars with Danzig, Ministry, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and many more artists. So you play a lot of music. You do a lot of music. And now you reached this goal, but you reached a goal many guitarists are looking for. You got your own signature model.
Oh yeah, I've had it for a while. Yeah, that's been going on for a while. So I guess that's I use them. I always they're right there. I mean, I use them all the time. So
is all that making you satisfied or even happy at all?
No, I don't. Excuse me. Like the main thing about having my signature is like I could get a bunch of them, and then like I left a couple in Europe. I have a couple on the West Coast. If I do Danzig, I still play with Danzig, so I have some out there. So I have one model, and I gotta have a bunch of them, and that's it. That's how it's more of a functionality of that is better than anything.
I wished I had a signature model.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, they don't sell that great, so I'm not like it doesn't boost my ego at all.
Okay. You've been quoted, I think even on the last interview with metal.de, that touring isn't the most favorite thing for you to do. With this said, you're touring a lot.
I know, I toured too much this year. Yeah, I mean now I'm at the end of the cycle, but not only this is the third Prong tour we did this year in Europe, and then there was intermittent shows, and then I was out with Danzig too. I did a Danzig tour and a couple of trips to Europe with him too. So yeah, it's been way too much for me this year.
But the tour is getting close to an end now.
No, I mean I got to go out in America. I mean it's like next year, and then probably back to Europe again next year at some point.
Okay, since you started working back in the 80s as a sound guy in CBGB, why did you start a band at all?
It happened by accident, really. I mean, I was working there, and then Mike Kirkland, who was working the door there as a doorman, we had a lot of musically in common, and I was in a lot of failed bands that weren't going anywhere, and he knew that I played, so we said, let's form a band, and we're just like, yeah, that'd be fun, like we sort of did it for fun, and then to make a record, like we're gonna do some shows, make a record, and we really got excited about it, like it sort of happened, we didn't answer ads in the paper or anything, and I knew Ted, so like, we got together and, wrote a bunch of songs, made a record, and like, got famous, it was just as simple as that.
Okay.
I mean, on a low level, Prong.
Sometimes it works out like that.
Yeah, it was just like, like I sort of had given up like with being in bands. It was like, it was always disappointing. But, Prong was really like the first band I started playing guitar, and I played bass as a kid. I dabbled a little bit in guitar, but I wasn't really like a guitar player playing in bands. So it was Prong is a weird thing that way. It just sort of came out of nowhere.
If you had the change to travel back in time,
oh my God!
What was your good advice for Tommy Victor in the early '80s?
Well, if I had to go in the early '80s, oh, I don't know. I mean,
before you started Prong.
Oh. I think I was doing the right thing. Like I saved my money. Like I was working as a bike messenger, and I was playing in bands. I think like after Prong is when I started really losing my mind. Was like I started like like we started partying too much, and then everything went to our heads, and we weren't getting along. So I think when I came out, I did the right thing. Like I moved into the city. I went to audio school. And I was working at regular jobs, and then like saved my money, and then like when Prong came around, I had money like to like put into it and to do for promoting it, etc. So I really my early years, like late teens, early 20s, were cool. It's just later on I started losing my mind.
Okay. So I guess the next sound check is coming soon, and I guess we have to cut this one. It's been a quick and dirty one. Thank you for your time, for having me here backstage, and rest your voice. I guess it's going to be a loud evening.
Yeah, it is, man. It's like it's winding up. We got 3 more shows. So,
yeah. So I wish you all the best for that and for selling your records. And the famous last words are yours.
Oh. Like the famous last words. Well, maybe I was saying, you better, next time we come to Europe, it may be the last one, so you better come. So everybody got to check out Prong, and then buy the new record too. It's one of the better Prong albums. State of Emergency, Steam Hammer, and then hit us up on Facebook. Check us out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Oh yeah, these over there. Okay, thank you.
It's good.